Welcome back to the Creating Kinder Content podcast. Today's guest has been acing his way through life, both on and off court. We all know him for his Grand Slam wins and all the laurels he brings back for the country every week. Backhand wizard, maestro at championing young talents, and for brewing up a storm in India's luxury homegrown coffee brands, Rohan Bopanna is an absolute Indian favorite. Rohan has been doing his inner work for the longest time, and the number one thing that resonates with me and the reason that he's on this podcast is his righteousness. For everyone who knows him, knows how hard he works to make sure that the right thing is done, not just for himself, which is an uphill task more often than not, but also for those after, around, and everyone he has the impact on. Rohan, thank you so much for joining us today. And without any further ado, can I please request you to introduce yourself to my audience in 3 words that you think best describe you to begin with?
I hail from the beautiful lands of Coorg in Karnataka. And the 3 words I would describe myself is perseverance, self-belief, and trust is the 3 words I
You've given yourself four, but I'll give it to you.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think for someone who's also sort of experienced a lot of your journey, I think perseverance, self-belief was right on my list as well, but also very resilient. But now that you've not chosen that word for yourself, going back to, are these any words then, therefore, the words that you picked up, words that were given to you as you were growing up from your coaches, your parents, family? Did you hear them about yourself, or are these things that you've discovered just about yourself as you've spent a lot of time with yourself?
I think both go in hand. At a lot of times, I think my parents taught me a lot of that in terms of having that self belief. To no matter what I was doing, to constantly find a way. To figure it out myself. I think it was very few times. I think I would go back to them to ask kind of a help because I was always somebody even till today loves doing puzzles and things like that. I mean, I keep telling myself if I wasn't a tennis player, I'd probably been a detective because my mind is always kind of working, trying to find solutions, trying to do things. But so that is the constant perseverance of trying to make sure a particular task is done. And I think that is what I've always had, and that I've taken forward in my journey for such a long time being on the professional circuit. And I think that perseverance of failing and still trying to find a way to get better at what I do is, I think, what really made that self belief grow.
Yeah.
And that trust in myself also really grow. And I think that is the few things I always keep telling myself, that to trust those instincts, because that is what has gotten me so far.
Yeah, and I think if I may add, because like I said, having seen you off and on court, I think the one thing that I really admire about you is the fact that when you had started, you would, of course, India had already had two favorites, right? Like Mahesh and Leander were there, and Sanya, of course, was coming up just about the same time as you. And a lot of people didn't know your potential, but I have never seen you sad. I have never seen you stressed. I have never seen you worry about, I have to go back and win this match. Maybe I'm going to lose. I have never seen you think that you will lose. You always find a way to find the spotlight and pull it back on you, which is something that I have admired so deeply. So thank you for
Thank you,
sharing
thank you,
that
thank you
input
very
about
much.
you.
No, but
Now,
I think it is again coming back from the roots, kind of. When you're growing up, you have only that much. So everything from then on, whatever you get or whatever you reach, whichever level you're reaching at, is kind of a learning journey.
yeah.
It's I think it is a little tougher when you've already been through that journey and then trying to figure out your way. But this was, everything is new, constantly coming forward and understanding how you can get better, also enjoying the space you're in.
Hmm.
I think just being happy from the right from the time being. I think no matter where I was, I mean, winning and losing, of course, is a part of the game, but I think the losing part, I took it much better than majority of the guys.
Hmm.
I left everything at the tennis court. When I went for dinner, it was that point of time sharing with friends, being at the moment. Whether I did something else, whether I played some golf or I went to watch a Bollywood movie or whatever it is, I enjoyed it at that moment, at every single journey. I think
Yeah.
even though I have gone to tournaments where I've gone to concerts with some friends who I was playing the following day against.
Yes, that's not
So
yet there.
but that is, I think, part and parcel of the game. You end up, when you're traveling together, you will end up playing each other, and especially if uh, friends are doing well together and traveling to
Yeah,
big tournaments, you end up somewhere or other playing. But I think what you do off the court makes
all the
you a better
difference.
person on the court as well.
Sure, sure. Thanks for that. And so, just to be able to get to also understand the background of where you're coming from, particularly when you say off the court is really important. Is there, you know how all of us sometimes have this random act of someone who just walks into our life and makes us feel like, no, you're better than you think you are. Is there ever been, and multiple moments like that, but has there been a defining moment or an act of kindness that someone showed towards you, and you realize that you were made to feel so special that now you're just like, yeah, I'm going to make everybody around me feel this way because everybody deserves to feel this kindness, and if I can do it, I'm going to do it.
I think yes, it was definitely there in Coorg, in that small club where I grew up. The people around there, they always, no matter. I mean, I'm not saying only towards me, but whichever parent came there to that small club, and their kids came along, they always encourage the kid to play sport, or no matter what they did, the act of kindness was, and spreading love was immense always. No matter who was there, whether your parents were not there, even if I had to go play tennis, no matter which member of that club was always happy to play or feed that extra ball, or be out there to make a kid feel better.
Yeah,
And I think that leaves a mark in some way, and that
is now spilling over to
act of
RBTA.
kindness is
Yeah,
something which I think I inbuilt in myself, which today I give back to the kids at the academy or wherever it is. I mean, whoever I speak to, because you never know who you're inspiring out
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Of course, there are times where sometimes, at tournaments, you end up not maybe giving an autograph or a photograph, just because the scenarios you miss out in scenarios. But still, wherever it is possible, every time I meet somebody at the airport, or they come up and they say, the kid would love to take a photograph, something, I really feel if there is an opportunity to give them that little bit of kindness, I think it is what takes you a long way, and takes and gives them also that much happiness and love. And I think that is coming from that small club in Coorg, in Madhapur. Yeah.
yeah, of course. Thanks for that. And it's not on my list, this question, but I think it's because I've been able to sort of experience this young boy coming from Coorg, and has been thrown into like this challenging position every now and then. And I think you're someone, everybody who knows you personally will also probably testify that you're someone who will always stand up, even if it's been hard, not for yourself, but for everybody around. And that's probably coming from a space of constantly also being unkind to, because everybody is trying to take away from you this excessive love that you always have, this excessive smiles that you always have. They're always going after finding ways on how to not make this work for him on court. How do you then, for people who are watching, who are also in power, in positions similar, what would your is there an unkind moment that you would like to share with us? And then how would one then, what is your perspective? I need to know that.
I think the number one thing, I mean, there have been a lot of difficult,
Yeah.
moments where, people try to pull you down at where you are, or the biggest thing is to trust yourself. I mean, which is easy to say, no matter,
Get into
when you do that,
details.
and and at times it can get difficult. But to surround yourself in the right kind of people who has been through the journey through and through with you is the most important part.
Yeah.
A lot of people are happy to come and speak to you in various different ways. I mean, there is a lot of learning in that journey, but that core group of people
Your
is
ecosystem.
what gets you through these small and hard moments. And I think my mental strength is, I think, extremely the strongest asset I have, which has made me sustain this career for such a long time. I think in no matter which sport, playing for about 20 plus years, it takes an immense effort to be able to sustain it.
Yeah.
And the most importantly is whether you yourself believe that you can do it is the key. And I think when you have that kind of strength, no matter where the negativity or what comes around it, you can pull through it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to jinx it by saying it out loud, but I do know that the best is not even here yet. So, before you actually get to level 44, my next question is, then do you think kindness, because we're going to go back to that, kindness, when you see people be kind to you, you've had the opportunity to sort of, extend yourself. Do you think kindness is a one-way street, or do you think it's something that also helps the well-being and the betterment or the mental health for someone who's actually also being kind, or is it just emptying shell?
I think that kindness is really great when you don't expect anything in return.
Yeah.
So that is when you're spreading love, right? It should come from the heart. It's like you want to do it. I mean, you cannot be forced to do it. It will never come out naturally. And so when that happens, that transition happens, right? You will not think of it whether it is a two-way street, one-way street, or whatever it may be. You will just do it because you genuinely want to help the betterment of people, or maybe give even bring a smile on somebody's face, as simple as that. And everybody goes through hard tough days. Tennis, especially when we travel, is extremely lonely on the circuit, especially the times when you're not winning matches.
Yeah.
But to find the happiness around it, right? I mean, that is what has, I think, kept me going. Is in back in 2021, I didn't win 5 months, I didn't win matches. So what really helped me was still exploring the city. I was go and enjoy my cup of coffee, which I love, or we traveled to the cities and find new places to what makes you happy. And I think that is what kindness is all about.
To yourself first, and then obviously extending it outwards. Great. And in this
Absolutely.
interconnected but very impersonal world that we're also now beginning to grow into with this whole digital space, what do you think are some of the gestures of kindness or love or care that we've started to take for granted that you wished would come back? What are those acts of kindness?
I think everyone likes to see the happy world.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you take that for granted that everything on the other side is going to be great.
Yeah.
Especially social media sometimes doesn't really show you that. At the end of the day, so when today we are in the social world, we can use that platform also to spread love or spread kindness in whichever way possible. Because at the end of the day, tomorrow is someone is using the social media. If they happen to see it, maybe they get a smile on their face. That's a great start to the day itself.
Yeah.
So I think a few things like that, we just take it for granted that automatically, say in tennis world, if I'm training here in Bangalore today, but if I go to the US, I'm guaranteed to get better. That there's no guarantee of happiness will be there.
Yeah.
It is about where you find happiness in yourself first, like how we went back to the previous answer itself, to find yourself, and that's when I think it'll make a change.
Okay. In that particular space, when you say find yourself, I'm talking to the generation that is younger. You're training them. I think we're also growing up in, like you said, in spaces where social media makes it all look very transactional, that I've done this, I've won a match, now I'm going to become Rohan. When you say sit with yourself and find yourself, are there any things that you've learned on your journey that you'd like to share with people on what does it really mean to sit with yourself, especially when you're lonely or when you're not feeling kind and the world is obviously waiting for you to fail? That kind of, how do you get out of that?
I think the best thing which has worked for me is to write down your thoughts.
Hmm.
You know,
Journaling. Yeah.
sometimes just as simple as maybe 2 3 lines of how you're feeling.
Yeah.
That because our memory a short is so it's really a very short span we have. I mean, even when you're looking at videos, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, the mind is already wandering.
Yeah.
So when you pen down, sometimes when you're really going through difficult moments, and I think that kind of really helps you sit down with your thoughts far better. In terms of, I mean, you don't have, you can write it on your phone as well, but as long as you're just spending that couple of minutes of understanding your thoughts, right? I think that really helps you in a big way. And I remember those 5 months when I was struggling. I was sitting across the ocean, and just sitting there on the side, thinking about the journey of, maybe this could be my end of the year, end of my career, because I'm not winning matches. But those, just writing down those small things,
Yeah.
kind of helps you realize, okay, this is it, what can I do better,
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of it constantly being a negative thought which is just hovering in your brain. It kind of lets you speak it out in some way.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing that. And before we actually move
No,
into the
not at all.
kindness quick start questions, my next question is, what do you think then could be what could be the output if all of us sort of started to become a little bit more kind towards all of us? Do you think it helps us create communities? Does the intent of wanting to be kind help us create a better, kinder world for also the kids as we create a world for them, especially in the day and age that we're living in right now with all that is going around?
I think it's absolutely difficult to say what kind of journey that could take, but what
Yeah.
it will definitely start is getting people around you happy, a little bit happier.
Yeah.
In whatever said and done, we everyone has their own kind of stress they all go through, whether it is at home, whether it is at work, or even just driving on the roads. I mean, it's, there's a lot of stress. So I mean, initially, even if it's couple of minutes a day, as long as you're trying to spread kindness, trying to spread love, I think can make a significant difference. I mean, today we have a 4-year-old daughter. With it's very different from
When you were growing up.
having this journey for such a long time, and now being a father, and trying to figure out how to teach her some the good thing, the kindness, and every time we travel, she keeps asking, sometimes, why is someone on a wheelchair in the airport when we're traveling, or so. But speaking to them as an adult, like an adult, and telling them the right thing, we feel, as my wife and I both, we feel that that is the right thing to do, and they understand it far better.
Yeah, of course, of course. That's lovely. Now we're going to get into a segment where we're going to. It's not like rapid fire. It's the kindness quick starts, but you'll have to be
Okay.
quicker about your responses. You've been fairly good
Cheers.
anyway, but shorter
Okay.
answers. Yeah. All right. Ready? Are you good to go?
I think so. Let's see.
Okay. Do you have a kindness go to kindness quote or a motto that inspires you the most?
Keep smiling is my, number one quote. I think that's the best kind of love we can spread.
Lovely. And if kindness had a color, Rohan, what color would it be and why?
Orange. It's a happy color. I love the color orange. Just anytime, I mean, wherever I am, if somebody's wearing orange, automatically I get a smile on my face. So
Noted.
orange is the
So
happy
when
color.
when Ron comes back to Delhi, everything should turn orange. Major
Yeah.
sign. Kindness was a superpower. What superpower would you want for it to have on you?
Be invisible. So I can go everywhere, just show up and spread the love.
Just change things for everybody invisibly. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. To fine tune everybody. If kindness was a sound, what sound would it make and why?
A silent sound, because quietly you should go and spread the love. It's not about making a sound and really wanting to show your kindness. You go about it day in day out, kindly, quietly. That's when things get better.
If kindness were a food, what would it taste like? We need details. And what would it be, of course? You can't say
Ooh,
coffee, you know.
ice
You
cream,
can't say.
ice
Okay,
cream, ice cream,
good.
ice cream. It tastes like ice cream. Everyone loves ice cream, so can't deny that. Ice cream is a happy food for everyone.
Lovely. I support. And my
Yes.
next question is going to be for, since we're on the same wavelength on this one, if I am, because right now I'm in charge, I designate you as the International Kindness Minister. You're supposed to dedicate a day from the entire year. What day are you going to pick? What are people doing and what are people not doing? Details. Plan the whole day. And what are we going to call it?
4th of March is the day we are gonna, it's kindness
It
day.
starts at home.
It starts at home, exactly.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Anybody can go and have a free ice cream to start with. Everyone
Wow.
can go and just enjoy the day and completely have a day off from everything and do something they love.
I think the politicians in the world should be taking a cue from my International Kindness Minister. He's like, celebrate me and go have everything, all my favorite things for free. Just
Yes,
go
go for it.
live your best life. I love that. Now, one of your last questions is going to be, would you rather have the ability to make people instantly burst into laughter or make them feel loved and cared for? Which one would you choose and why?
Instantly burst with laughter. It helps everything else after.
Lovely, lovely. I love the answers.
Thank you.
One last thing before you get to ask me a question, because I am very cognizant of the fact that you've made time. I've probably bullied you into doing this podcast, but thank you.
No,
And
no, not at all. Happy to be in this podcast with you. Yeah.
and I think the one thing that I think all of us, the tennis lovers, need to know from you is what do you do when someone is unkind to you? When you know your potential, what is that message you're giving out to everybody at RBTA because they have access to you, but those who don't, what do you tell them? How do you wake up every morning and tell them to stick to the plan?
I think it's an extremely difficult thing because when to do it alone is not easy at times. There are a lot of tough moments. My biggest thing is for them is to remember the journey why they have started.
Yeah.
When you remember that and understand why they have picked up tennis, that kind of helps you go through that day. There are extremely difficult days. I mean, it doesn't have to be only through tennis, can be through any way. But the day you remember why you have chosen this path is what makes it that much more easier.
Lovely. And I have one more question basis that I want to know the mind in the
Clearly, you
moment.
don't
Stick to
know
the
the
plan.
difference between last one and two and
Practice
three.
session. Practice session. Yeah, this is your time off. This isn't even a match, so I'm taking that liberty of
Yeah, absolutely.
extra shots. But I think my last question, Ro, you've distracted me. What was your mind at that particular moment when you could have easily won the final when you were playing Ram recently, but you actually took that decision to say, no, this is out? A lot of people, we've seen a lot of people in today's day and age just grab an opportunity. You actually passed it on with a silver spoon to the other people because it was the right thing to do. I need to know the mind behind that, and who, and I'm sure there's an ecosystem, but who is training you to constantly think that?
I think I was brought up to do the right thing. I didn't even hesitate twice when the ball brushed my arm.
Yeah.
There, even though nobody even realized that. But for me, I knew that had happened. I need to sleep better. Not know. I wouldn't have even slept better knowing that the fact that I did not call it upon myself. I've always been brought up to do the right thing. uh, like even earlier when we spoke about, is I stand up to the right thing, whatever
Yeah.
is need to be there, whether somebody likes it or not. I stand up to the right thing, and that's how I've been grown up, and that's how I've been taught, from my parents. And I think that's what showed right there. I didn't even even think twice or hesitate
So no
before I
thought there.
call it
Yeah.
upon myself. Yeah.
Lovely. Rohan, thank you so much for doing this. And before you go, so that you don't feel like I have sucked out all your energy, you're allowed to either give me feedback or ask me a question of your choice.
Thank you so much, Malika, first of all, for having me on this podcast. And I
Pleasure.
really think it's amazing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, like we started in the beginning, is that a lot of people know you as an athlete for just being tennis. Something around it is always a nice thing to uh, bring out from who we speaking to, because
Yeah.
that is never really shared, and kind of always I feel kind of lost, because everyone is so prepared to answer a tennis related question. I think it's amazing that you're doing this. And my one question is like, what really inspired you to come up with something like this, or start a podcast in terms of thinking it very differently?
Oh, thank you for asking me that question. Ro, the Creating Kinder Content podcast is just my 2 cents of building a positive narrative, especially on the digital world. I think offline, you've been a part of my journey. You've seen the love and the kindness and the warmth we've all had growing up, especially through the sporting community where we're always trained to be the better than yesterday, but also celebrate each other's wins. Even when I'm losing to my best friend or someone else has lost to me, we're always there for each other. I think that's the kind of love and affection that has allowed us to be able to sort of do this kind of work that we're doing for you, for yourself, for me to be able to want to create that world for people who either don't have access to that ecosystem, B, have never experienced kindness and so they don't know what they're missing out on, C, take kindness for granted and so they miss it and start focusing on the wrong things, and that's where they end up losing the plot. And I think it's this podcast is my way of building a community of people who I know have been kind, have been doing their inner work, and are projecting that kindness, that warmth, that love, that security from the inside to the people outside, because they're trying to create an impact and a better place for everybody around each other. And I think it's also going back to one of those things that you've been doing yourself, and you'll probably um, resonate with why this community is required. But I think when you go back and you're traveling and you put out coffee reels on your Instagram page about coffee shops that you like, reviews, good coffee, great coffee, not so good coffee, honest reviews, even though you're not paid for it. And I know that you get a lot of offers for people who want to do paid collaboration with you, but I think the fact that you love coffee and you genuinely wanted to grow that whole spirit of having a good cup of coffee wherever you go, and putting in the effort, even though it's not compulsory or not necessary for you. I think the fact that it comes from a space where you know how hard it is to follow someone's dreams, and just a little validation and just a good like kudos, you're doing a great job, or appreciation for someone is coming from a space of kindness within you. And the fact that you can project is also the reason that you're on the kindness podcast with me. And this is the community we're trying to grow.
I think that's excellent. I'm glad you're doing this. Wishing you all the very best
Thank
for
you.
everything going ahead. And yeah, hopefully we can catch up soon.
Yes, yes, Bangalore or whatever, level
Yeah,
44.
absolutely. Level 44 indeed.